One. We've got RIP Takeoff. RIP Takeoff. Rest up, Takeoff, and condolences to his family. Welcome to Self Luv Show. Please take this time to like, share, and subscribe so we can get this out into the metaverse or the universe. Today our show is going to be on the Juneteenth paradox. Despite numerous ways to honor Juneteenth, one thing about this specific holy day endured throughout the generations. The paradox of melanated people's lived experiences. How could we at once celebrate freedom and acknowledge that the residue of slavery continues to influence our lives? The stench. We got a bunch to unpack here today. Chill, sit back, interact, and enjoy as we edutainment and dive into today's topic, the Juneteenth paradox. Troll-free phone lines are open, 424-900-6945. Please smash that like button. Stand by as we pay some bills. All right, Chi-Town, cue it on your ready.
Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, scholarship, and research. Fair use is a use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Nonprofit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use.
Juneteenth is a celebration. Subscribe, like, hit the notification bell, please. In entering upon this course of instruction, each of you should, so far as possible, lay aside for the time being all previous theories and beliefs. By so doing, you will be saved the trouble of trying all the way through the show to put, quote, new wine into old wineskins, end quote. Luke chapter 5, verse 37. If there's anything as we proceed which you don't understand or agree with, just let it lie passively in your mind until you have enjoyed the entire show. For many statements that would at first arouse antagonism and discussion will be cleared and easily accepted a little farther on. After the show is over, if you wish to return to your old beliefs and ways of living, you are at perfect liberty to do so. But for the time being, be willing to become as a little child. For said the Master in spiritual things, quote, except ye become as little children, ye shall in no wise enter into the kingdom of heaven, end quote. Matthew chapter 18, verse 3. If at times there seems to be repetition, please remember, the Self Luv Show is a lesson, not a lecture.
And even in this instance, if I could be of service to a 9-year-old girl or a 19-year-old woman or girl who wants to be a woman, is to really remember that self-love is the best way that you can receive love from anybody else, because it's coming from you. A lot of times we forget that. We look externally for this love. We look externally for this feeling of validation and adoration and approval, and it has to come from within.
This is your last chance. After this, there is no turning back. You take the blue pill. The story ends. You wake up in your bed and believe whatever you want. You take the red pill. You stay in Wonderland. And I show you how deep the rabbit hole goes. Remember, all I'm offering is the truth, nothing more.
Self Love Vision. Self Love Show is back in the building. These are lessons, not lectures. And yeah, it's interactive. So welcome to another live edition of Chicago's very own The Self Love Show. We got two mottos. Motto number one is on earth as it is in heaven. Big ups to the Most High. Big ups to the ancestors. Big ups to my belated Mama Sky. Motto number two is above, as above, so below. Right now, we can be found Malcolm X exclusively on our YouTube channel. This Ain't That Network, or TATN. TATN. This is one of your co-hosts, and I'm Millie. Chi-Town, what down, what down, what down, Chi-Town. Repeat after he. I am greater than my excuse. I am greater than my excuse. I am greater than my excuse. Today's date is Sunday, June 11th. It's approximately 2:40 p.m. in the Chi. And we live in living color. And as always, we love to acknowledge that you cats can be anywhere in this magnanimous universe. But thankfully, we all chose to be here together. Here. Together. What down, Chi-Town? What down, what down, what down, Brother Wordsmith? What you manifesting today, sir?
Love. 9, you know me. I'm manifesting love. What you manifesting?
Ditto, good brother. Pure, magnificent, magnanimous. Some say harsh, others said tough. But I can assure everyone that can hear my voice, it's always love just the same, good brother.
No doubt.
Fam, what's been going on in your neck of this country? No pun intended on neck, which is Juneteenth show. Since we last connoited out there.
Well, I don't say it's happened here, but in Mexico. My big brother, he's out in Mexico, man. In Mexico.
Cervezas?
Yeah, man. For his
Cervezas?
I know it's a bunch of cervezas.
Cigarro?
I don't know about how much cigarro, but definitely cerveza. Yeah, big ups, happy born day to my brother Jazzy Smith.
Yeah, he's got a milestone occasion, so I want to throw it out there to him. Happy birthday, big bro, Jazzy. Many, many more. Take some time for reflection out there.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And my cousins and his friend surprised him out there and showed up on his birthday. He was very, very surprised and
yeah, big ups to the regulette, Mickey and the co-host on Mouthpiece included popped up out there.
Yes.
Pulled up on him, huh?
Yes, and big ups to his wife for making all that happen.
Yeah, big ups. All right, yeah, a lot of stuff going on, and I am going to book the trip shortly. I mean, not the trip, but the big jumping out of the airplane. It will be booked. We'll have the dates for you guys because I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, it should be.
I found some. They call them Depends. I found some duper extra large out there, so I'm gonna put that on just in case I poop my pants. Wifey says she's not interested in the Depends at this time, but yeah, I mean, you never know. It's better safe than wet.
I guess.
Sorry out there. We're gonna skydive because we reached our goal of 499 subs. You guys, but before we do that, what to expect on today's show? We always kick it off with the Self Luv Show quote of the day. Our platform video we run next. It's less than a minute. That's more growth and development. And then we got Tattoo Tyranny, where we show our government interacting with its citizens, and we decide if it's tyranny or if they're, honoring the oath. They're doing what we're paying them to do. All right, tyranny. Good job. That's what we do, and we expect you guys to, take the time to vote out there. Don't be, a scared out there. And then, of course, the mind is an awful thing to waste, so we provide you with a weekly riddle. We call it the Dome Teaser. And, we'll give you the answer at the end of today's show if Self Luv doesn't already provide the key, as he normally does. Maybe someone in the chat, can process information, get the kids in and out of the huddle, so to speak, and quarterback this thing and not sit around and wait on Self Luv to solve the riddles. All right. Today's topic is the Juneteenth paradox. Phone lines are open, 424-900-6945. That number's 424-900-6945. That number's what?
Troll free. Absolutely troll free.
That's right. Trolls get holes around these pots, so I'll be your dingleberry. I will be your huckleberry. Sorry about that. Your huckleberry. All right. Please hit that like button. Smash it. And we always close the show out with my personal favorite part of the whole shebang, and that's where this brother to my right summarizes the entire shebang in a metaphysical bout of freestyle prose off the top of the dome. Of the top of the dome.
Y'all. Yes,
Today's show's being sponsored by who?
House Stock, baby. House Stock. It's coming, and it's coming soon. You better get your tickets.
House. It's house. It's house. All types of genres of house, though. It's not just the old school stuff.
Yes, we got some DJs coming from different parts of the country, and it's going to be a magnificent occasion. Let me tell you.
You got DJ Moore showing up for the Chicago Bears?
Hey, right down the street, they had in Bourbon Day no more. Or are they in Bourbon Day?
It's Bourbonness.
They're not there yet.
I'm just telling you how the French pronounce it. Bourbonness. Taking these words and butchering them.
You took French?
Absolutely.
I took French, and it was Bourbonnais.
No, it's Bourbonness. I took French 4 years in high school, and I took it 2 years down into university. Bourbonness. You know, it's not Bourbonnais. That's the way the pink people pronounced it. So then we followed suit. It's Bourbonness. You guys Google it if you don't believe me. All right. So when we get to our next goal, which is 999 subscribers, Self Luv and I, we're going to take the show down to the fantastic Mississippi Delta, which is rich in melanated history out there, huh, Self?
Absolutely. My history, family history is there. A lot of it. My mother was born in the Deltas.
Yeah, and also there's some unincorporated areas down there that have limited light pollution. So we'll get down there and see if we can't, spot some sort of UAP out there, huh, Self?
Well, we've seen a lot of things that look very strange out there.
There's probably air balloons, or you know what I mean.
It still could be.
You don't know the difference between you're not a pilot or a Navy person. You don't have the ability to discern the difference between airplane, an air balloon, a blimp, or something moving. You don't have any engineering common sense. That's what you know what I mean.
No, I don't know what you mean.
I'm saying that's what the government comes out there and
the government don't care about nothing.
They suggest that the average person doesn't know the difference between something that they've seen naturally occurring, because at this point a jet in the air is part of our nature. You know what I mean? So we see these things naturally, and then you see something zip zip.
Yeah,
zip,
do
zip,
something completely different,
making no noise, and then zip, and it's gone. But you're not a Navy pilot, though. That's all I'm saying, Self, and you don't have the ability to know what you're looking at. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, and I'm still not agreeing.
All right. You guys like, share, subscribe. You know what I'm saying? If there's anybody out here, because we're covering Juneteenth, I want to know if you're celebrating, where you're from. You can put in the state if you're not comfortable putting in your city. If you got ops out there, you don't want the spooks, tracking you down and ruining your life, then you can go ahead and just put the state you're located in. But we want to know how you guys feel about Juneteenth. I'm gonna let you guys know when I first heard about it, and I was ignorant. You know what I mean? I met this girl from Texas I was working with. We'll get into it. And she was talking about Juneteenth. This was some years ago. I'm like, June what? Asked me for the day off for Juneteenth. Right. You're making up holidays, you know what I mean? But she was from Texas, but we'll get there. But enough of my yapping. I'll turn this over to this brother Wordsmith so he can handle his business. He doesn't have the ability to process what's flying up there in the sky. You know what I mean?
Whatever. I don't care what they say. Process? Welcome to the Self Luv Show. Today we're unpacking the Juneteenth paradox. We got troll-free lines are open, so feel free to call on in. But before we get to that, we have a very important video I want you to watch. It's a Silverback More Growth and Development platform, which we are building the Self Luv Nation off of. And as always, before that, we have the Self Luv Show quote of the day. Today, on Juneteenth, the day we celebrate the end of slavery, the day we memorialize those who offered us hope for the future, and the day when we renew our commitment to the struggle for freedom. Once again, today on Juneteenth, this day we celebrate the end of slavery, the day we memorialize those who offered us hope for the future, and the day when we renew our commitment to the struggle for freedom. Angela Davis.
Has slavery ended? Go ahead.
No.
I see.
13th Amendment. Or was it 14th? It's one of them. They're both bad.
13th.
Silverback More Growth and Development platform. Number one, repair our nation via reparations. We demand our silver back. Number two, to connect our breadwinners with our activists. And three, show an accurate depiction of African American Chi-Town. 4, shine a light on positive influence. 5, heal our community one person at a time. 6, to provide an unfiltered platform for our influencers. 7, recycle the black dollar. 8, to provide mentors for the mentorless. 9, close the gap between us and our pink kinsmen.
We're closing the gap. We're closing it.
And number 10, protect our women, children, and men by any and all means necessary.
That's right. Love yourself. Know yourself, love yourself, protect yourself. That's your God-given rights. That doesn't come from any document that anybody wrote down on a piece of papyrus. I want to give a yo to Brother Santos de la Rosa.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Appreciate your support, good Newt.
Good news.
Absolutely. Appreciate your support. All right. If you didn't catch last week's show, we unpacked the miseducation of John Q. Public out there, Self.
Oh, man. If you didn't see that one, I suggest you go and check it out.
Yeah.
Right after this show's over, just hit the link, go back and check that out.
Yeah, we conducted a poll on TATN, Self, and zero. One of the options, it was. Do you think? The question was something to the effect of, do you think, big education is educating is just creating slaves? Basically, that was the gist of the question. And one of the options was, this is just a tin hat conspiracy, and 0% of the voters selected tin hat conspiracy.
Well, they can. I mean, you can look at everything that's done, and you can absolutely positively tell that there's no conspiracy there. I mean, it's a conspiracy there, but it's a conspiracy fact, not theory.
It's interesting that, in your history class, your so-called history class is coming up in the pubic education. There's no mention of the history. You don't study the history of education itself. They tell you about the Dark Ages and then the Renaissance. And
all lies.
Yeah, check it out. We did it last week, you guys. So please like, share, subscribe. Big ups to the chat out there. Make sure you hit that thumbs up and share this link. Good Noop, did you see the video SCOTUS POCUS? SCOTUS POCUS.
I pretty much stay unplugged, so I'm not sure, but I don't think so.
Well, big ups to Reuters and fair use, you guys. Big ups to production.
The U.S. Supreme Court let stand for
SCOTUS
now
POCUS.
an Illinois state ban on assault-style rifles and large-capacity magazines, enacted after a deadly mass shooting in Chicago's Highland Park suburb last summer. A gun rights group and a gun dealer suing to overturn the assault weapons ban appealed to the 9 justices and asked for an injunction preventing the measure from taking effect while their case is heard by the courts. But the top court on Wednesday denied that request. Earlier this year, Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker signed into law the
He can't even
Protect
find a
Illinois
tie big enough for his
Communities
big
Act,
neck.
banning the sale and distribution of many kinds of high-powered semi-automatic assault weapons, including AK-47 and AR-15 rifles and large-capacity magazines. The gun rights group, along with the retailer, challenged Pritzker, arguing the restrictions were a violation of the Second Amendment, which protects the right to keep and bear arms. Pritzker celebrated Wednesday's ruling, saying, quote, "The gun lobby has insisted on every legal maneuver to block this law, refusing to acknowledge that lives will be saved by this important piece of legislation. Despite these challenges, I remain confident that the assault weapons ban will be upheld and will create a safer Illinois for our residents."
That's
but
a
while
lie.
Wednesday's decision keeps the ban in place for now, the fate of the law remains uncertain. The conservative majority in 2008 struck down a Washington, D.C. law banning handguns on the grounds it violated the Second Amendment. The court has tilted further in that direction since. Gun control advocates were dismayed last June when the court struck down New York State gun limits and recognized the right to carry a handgun in public for self-defense. Reuters Supreme Court correspondent Andrew Chung.
That ruling could make it easier for lower courts to strike down new or existing gun control laws by requiring those courts to ensure that the laws that they're scrutinizing are consistent with the nation's historical tradition of gun regulation. In essence, requiring judges to find some sort of historical analog to the law that they're looking at. And that's what the challengers to the Illinois ban on firearms defined as assault weapons were arguing, that there is no such historical analog.
The Illinois assault weapons ban is one Democratic President Joe Biden has said he'd like to enact nationwide. But Republican opposition makes any such bill almost impossible. A federal assault weapon ban enacted in 1994 lapsed a decade later and has not been renewed by Congress despite Democratic efforts, amid a spate of U.S. mass shootings in recent years.
Tempted kids.
You know, that's a paradox, bro.
It is. How they
looking for previous case law to, like, that's got to be easy job, man. If I'm a part of the Supreme Court, I just go back and look at old cases. I understand how law works, but in order for there to be case history, a trial has to be heard.
Or it has to be something that's
right. So let's take the data, take the information, you know, and then if you can't find any case history, then guess what? You 9 individuals would have to get to work.
Yeah, and they make the case law. That's what happens.
Correct. Like, right.
But I'm tripping that they didn't block the ban on assault rifles, but they blocked the ban. I mean, they unblocked the ban on handguns.
But you said they unblocked the ban on handguns, but they upheld the ban on assault rifles?
Yes. In Illinois. That's what it just said.
Yeah. Yeah.
That surprised me. That's surprising. But I guess it was a ban on assault rifles in the Capitol or what have you but they let it lapse and no one's brought it back.
Well, who was it? I think it was MC Ren in the 90s. He had a lyric, AK-47 is my MFing tool.
Yeah.
And now watch me act the MFing fool, right?
Don't make me act a
yes.
MFing fool.
That's Ren, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, big ups to Ren. I feel like there wasn't an issue as long as, you know, the melanated community, we're chopping each other up. But then, you know, you guys had that event in that suburb out there, I think Highland Park or something, at that parade, and people got chopped down. Rest their souls, condolences to the families. And now there has to be a ban. But I mean, they've been chopping in the community for almost my entire life.
Yeah, and it's been a ban on all weapons in the city. Well, not all. You could have a shotgun. You could have had a shotgun during that time. No handguns, definitely no assault rifle. But you could have a shotgun and some rifles. But aside from that, you couldn't have anything.
Yeah, bro. And before we vote on this, you know, you and I, we discussed. This was when the show started. I mean, we're talking 2 years ago. And we were talking about how they're programming society to now, you know, incarcerate the parents. And it'll be for sins of the children. And it'll be, we said it'll turn out to be mostly melanated people and Hispanics, that those parents are going to be the ones getting punished.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And so, bro, I saw a video where they had a sister on there. Her son had a gun and he got shot by 12. He was a minor. He was 17, 16, something like that. He didn't die. And they were asking her how she felt about her son, you know, having a gun. And she said, I forgot where they were. It might have been Baltimore. I think it was in Baltimore. She didn't say she gave the kid a gun or anything like that, She says she works, she can't be watching them all the time, but she did say, Self, this is Baltimore and it's dangerous out here. What do you mean? Why would he have a gun? And I mean, seriously, and in the 90s coming up, many of us had that same judge by 12 or carry by 6, bro.
Yeah.
And it's disingenuous for people on a perch in a community where there's a low crime rate. Say, well, listen, America, every child out there or every teen out there that's got a stick, they're not criminals.
Period.
They're trying to stand there for what?
Save their lives and protect themselves.
Yeah. Stand their ground out there in situations. Correct. Protect themselves and their families. But she got maligned and, and they're looking at, they want to, use her as a case study to start locking up parents. She didn't give a kid the gun. Even if number 10 in our platform Self is protect ourselves, our families, our women, and our children.
Yes.
And we used to discuss this, bro, as young men, the trap, right? To your point, they banned guns. So any good person with a handgun in the city of Chicago catches a case, it's an illegal gun, gets a felony or whatever, now it affects his ability to earn money and things of this nature and to protect himself further, right? You got all these, the others with the guns who are using it for
nefarious purposes.
Yes.
And they don't care about the laws, so it gives them a one-up. And they don't have to worry about anybody protecting themselves because most law-abiding citizens are going to be law-abiding and not have a stick.
Correct. It's a slippery slope, but that's a whole nother show in itself. But regarding what the state of Illinois did over there in your backyard, the SCOTUS POCUS, hocus pocus, SCOTUS POCUS. You see what I did there?
Yeah.
Some entendres there. Are you looking at tyranny?
I think so.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to say tyranny. I don't like them telling us that we can't have
choppers.
Yes.
So you'd like a world where everybody's walking up and down 75th and Narragansett with choppers?
I would not. I mean, if everybody can have them, then I'm okay with that.
Uh-huh.
Not just the criminals.
How about a Gatling gun? Can I just ride around with a Gatling gun on my, on a wagon, walk around with a wagon, pulling a wagon with a Gatling gun on there? You okay with that too?
Yeah, I don't want them telling me not to have nothing. I don't want them telling me I can't have anything.
Hey, the government's pulled up with Gatling guns and
they will, and man.
And chop people down.
And that's why we should be able to have one, because if it comes against, we have to go against it. We should have the ability to have it.
All right. So you're Second Amendment NRA type of cat.
Yeah, I don't know about the NRA, but I do believe that we should have the ability to, fulfill what the government says we should be able to. The Constitution.
Well, the SCOTUS is going to, these people you haven't elected who have a lifelong tenure, the SCOTUS are going to make a decision on how to interpret what the Constitution says.
Yeah, I don't like that part either.
The SCOTUS, I mean, they could sit back there and say that, which we're going to get into, Lincoln broke laws when he allegedly freed the slaves. They could turn around and reverse that out there, and everybody, they can remove the SCOTUS. They can sit back in a room smoking cigars and drinking fine bourbon, right? Popping pills, doing meth, I'm not saying that's what the Supreme Court of the United States does, but I wouldn't be surprised if that's what they're doing, right? And then come out and say, yeah, your melanatids and your Hispanics out there, they're slaves. You know what I mean? They got 72 hours to get out of the country and they have no more rights, and create new case law.
I mean, they could do that.
Yeah.
They're not likely at this point in time, but maybe in the future, it could be a possibility.
Yeah. I mean, they still vote. They still vote to renew our voting rights year after year as though we're not citizens, and nobody finds a problem with that.
We're not. So there's that.
We're not citizens. All right. So today's topic is
citizen is slave. That's Black's Law Dictionary.
Tax-paying slave.
Yeah.
All right. Well, the Juneteenth paradox is today's show. Phone lines are open, 424-900-6945. That number's pinned in the chat. Please please smash that like button. Pink crime, Self. I don't know if you saw the video coming out of my backyard. Big ups to KTLA.
Yeah, we'll see if I've seen it. I don't.
Pink predators. Pink predators out there. Make an investment in a front fence, since they have the front yard thing going.
You said what?
He made. Oh,
I heard you. I could hear you. I couldn't understand you. I was.
Yeah. I was saying he may want to invest in a fence, since they have the front yard thing going.
Yeah. Looked like it was no fences over there at all. Shit.
Might be some sort of ordinance from the homeowners association.
Yes. When you don't see any, then it might be something to it. But yeah, that dude, was he from this planet? That walk was very awkward, and I don't know what that was going on.
He did seem like he was from another dimension or something, didn't he?
Something. What he sounded and what he said.
And he should stick out to the point where, was that his first day in that neighborhood? Right. Everybody should have seen this guy.
Yeah. And he walking around there. Ain't no way they should miss that.
Yeah, well, big ups to the little girl. She
got away.
Did the right thing. Yeah. Got away and, told her dad, and her dad said, quit playing. That's peculiar. That's peculiar. Go back outside and, nobody's trying to abduct you. What are you talking about?
It's not anybody out here.
Yeah, but that scumbag, these are scumbags that, savages.
Absolute.
I wonder what his parents are thinking.
Way around that out there.
Yeah,
somebody knows who that guy is too. Y'all let
his parents know. His parents know.
Y'all trick on him, okay?
Yeah, arrest his mama. All right. All right, you guys, like, share, subscribe. We'd love to hear what how the chat feels about that. Today's topic is the Juneteenth paradox. Phone lines are open, troll free, 424-900-6945. Trolls get what?
Holes around these parts.
That's right. Please smash that like button and hit the subscribe. The channel is growing. All right. Today's dome teaser, or the riddle of the day. Normally I provide it to Self Love. I don't know if he does anything with it, but this week I didn't send it to him early. So, you know what I mean? But here we go. One night, a ninja and a pirate were on a ship. The ship began to sink. The ninja and the pirate jumped into a lifeboat before the ship went underwater. Who died? One night, a ninja and a pirate were on a ship. The ship began to sink. The ninja and the pirate jumped into a lifeboat before the ship went underwater. Who perished? Who died? That's today's riddle. Feel free to chime in the chat if you have the mental capacities to chime in. Don't have an immediate thumbs up from Self Love, which is surprising. And
Pirate.
yeah, Well, he's processing. But enough of the appetizers out there. Maybe somebody in the chat can help this brother resolve today's dome teaser. But self-love, enough of the appetizers out there.
Let's satisfy the self-love nation's thirst.
Yeah, they thirsty. Yeah, they thirsty. All right, big ups to production. I believe we have a short promo, and then we can hop right to it. Next week on the Self Luv Show, we're going to be covering Juneteenth. You free. You can go and get out of here, boy.
I don't think that's a holiday, so
That's what we're going to be discussing. The origin of it, who force-fed this. The name of it doesn't even... I mean, June what 10th? I still don't know what day I was free. Somebody owes me some money for these 2 days. What was it, June 13th, 14th, 15th,
19th.
16th? So one day, so call it June 19th.
Asinine to me to celebrate people being enslaved longer than they were supposed to. That's a emasculation, not celebration. What? They were enslaved much longer.
And once we get our reparations, those people who suffered from Juneteenth should get a little extra.
Yeah.
A few extra days paid. Right?
Yeah, because that's asinine.
If we had a time machine or a wormhole, bro, and you in
K-Town
K-Town and you see the... all right, Self Love has submitted his key to the riddle. I have to inform him he is not correct, but he'll marinate on it. One night, a ninja and a pirate were on a ship. The ship began to sink. The ninja and the pirate jumped into a lifeboat before the ship went underwater. Who died? That is today's Dome teaser. Yeah. All right. Self-love still processing. So, yeah, let's go ahead and jump into it. But before we do it, we want to big up our sponsors. The Midwest Festival, they're presenting House Stock out there.
Yes,
y'all. And we pinned the link in the chat where you can sign up. But Self-love, go ahead and give us an overview of your vision of House Stock.
It's going to be a magnanimous event full of glamping. We've got great activities planned. Aside from all of the DJing, we're going to have some water balloon fights. We'll have a glow party. We got horseback rides available on the land where the whole process is taking place. It's going to be some vendors, some food vendors. It's going to be an excellent occasion.
Any hot tubs out there?
First annual. We're supposed to have a hot tub out there. We're supposed to have a hot tub out there for Hot Tub Tory. It's going to be a great time.
So if you enjoy great people and great music and you enjoy dancing, or you might just like camping, you can do it all at House Stock.
Absolutely.
You can do it all at House Stock. And you can go to www.housestock.net, and that link is now pinned in the chat. You can also call in with any concerns on our topic today about Juneteenth, the paradox. 424-900-6945. That number's what?
Troll free.
424-900-6945. That number's completely what?
Totally troll free.
Trolls get what?
Holes around here, homie.
Yeah, I'll make you famous. I'll be your Huckleberry.
Let's go viral.
Yeah, let's do it. All right. So the origins of Juneteenth is what part one is about, self-love, as we know it. First off, did honest, drop dead gorgeous Abe Lincoln from the great state of Illinois, our state, did he free foundationally black so-called American POWs?
No, he did not. What he did do is say that people that were prisoners of war were free if they resided in these states that decided that they wanted to keep their way of life going. That succeeded from the Union, but the other southern states that didn't succeed, they kept their property.
And a quick sidebar, going down this rabbit hole, doing the research, there were a lot more freed black men during these times than the movie Roots leads me to believe.
Well, I'm glad you brought up Roots.
Go ahead. Kunta Kinte, damn it.
Yeah, that guy plagiarized Alex Haley. Plagiarized that entire book, and that entire book was a figment of some pink person's imagination.
Are you serious?
Yes.
So there wasn't any real research done, like talking to descendants of so-called POWs. There's no research done?
No, there's no linking us to...
So it was just fiction. Like, I'm working on a book of fiction right now,
yes.
everybody.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Wow.
And it wasn't his.
Some sort of spook?
Oh, Alex Haley? Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they hearing that the autobiography of Malcolm X didn't really have a whole lot to do with Malcolm X either.
Yeah, it wasn't authorized. Like, I mean, yeah.
And autobiography, that would sound like it was in his words.
Correct.
Autobiography. And
correct.
Yeah, no.
It was actually an unauthorized biography of Malcolm X is what the title should have been.
Yes, exactly. That should have said that in the, yes. And he wrote the foreword to that.
Great book, by the way.
Yes.
Yeah, regardless if it was fiction or nonfiction. Great book. Yeah, so to your point, and I'm gonna get into ask you about, and that was a great breakdown of Honest Abe's motivations. We want to get into that next, but yeah, and it didn't dawn on me. The Emancipation Proclamation, officially it's Proclamation 95. It was an executive order, Self. It wasn't a law.
No.
It was like when Donald Trump goes in there and shows that pen, he's illiterate, and writes his mark, he's putting an X on there. On all these executive orders. Same thing Barack Obama did. These are just executive orders. This was nothing that was a law, at least the Emancipation Proclamation.
Yeah.
So it's Proclamation 95. It was a presidential proclamation and an executive order issued by Honest Abe on January 1, 1863. This was during the American Civil War. This proclamation changed the legal status of more than 3.5 million enslaved African Americans, POWs, in the secessionist Confederate States from enslaved to free. As soon as slaves escaped the control of their enslavers, either by fleeing to the Union lines or through the advance of federal troops, they were permanently free, according to this executive order. In addition, the proclamation allowed for former slaves or former POWs, we don't like to call them slaves, we're at war, but the proclamation allowed for former POWs to be received into the armed service of the United States. Ding, 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 ding. So on the first day of January, year of our Lord, 1,863, all persons held as slaves within any state. So all these slaves came over, Self, on all these boats. We're talking 1,863. All persons held as slaves within any state or designated part of a state, the people whereof shall then be in rebellion against the United States, and shall be thenceforward and forever free, and the executive government of the United States, including the military and naval authority thereof, will recognize and maintain the freedom of such persons, and will do no act or acts to repress such persons or any of them in any efforts they may make for actual freedom. Yeah. 1863, January 1.
Yeah. I was researching, and it was supposed to happen earlier than that, but one of the advisors, well, it might have been Attorney General, I forgot who it was exactly, but he advised Lincoln not to do that right away. He said he should do it, but we should wait till we get some victories, so we don't make it seem like the melanated is coming to help us win the war.
Right. Yeah, but they weren't gonna. They weren't gonna have victory without.
They were getting there.
They were getting their heads handed to them.
Yes.
Before the melanated got involved.
Yes, it was they lost 8 out of 10 right before he released that.
Listen to these words, bro. This is Honest Abe. I do order and declare that all persons held as slaves within designated states and parts of states, I mean, listen to this, are and henceforward shall be free. Such persons of suitable condition will be received into the armed services of the United States, and upon this act, sincerely believed to be an act of justice warranted by the Constitution, upon military necessity, I invoke the considerate judgment of mankind and the gracious favor of Almighty God. This doesn't sound like someone that was morally against the institution of slavery.
Yeah, he had stated that he had been, and he was a Republican.
So he was an abolitionist?
He was a Republican, which was an abolitionist party.
Yeah.
I don't really hear him ever saying that he was an abolitionist. I did hear him say that they should be free, but we should still live separate. And he had melanation in his family line. His mother was
he was some sort of colored.
Yes. That was, the ones that come from Europe think they're different than the ones that are here. So they separated. They called us savages and all that were here already. And they came, they had their whole European, whatever they had, connection or whatever, coming over here.
Well, earlier, you mentioned the 13th Amendment.
Yes.
Which allegedly abolished slavery and involuntary servitude. I don't see the difference between slavery and involuntary servitude. This pisses me off, and I need to, meditate on that a little more. But they made it a point to abolish slavery and involuntary servitude. What's the difference, though?
I think it might be your skin color.
Ah, yes, you are 100% right. Appreciate that. You saved me some thought. Now, except for as punishment, to your point, for a crime. So, we were freed, and then they put these black codes in, no loitering, no hanging around, no being unemployed, no being homeless. And so now that's a crime. Now, this amendment was passed by the Senate on April 8th, 1864. So you got the Emancipation Executive Order itself on April 1st in 63. And on April 8th, 64, it was passed by the House of Representatives. It was passed by the Senate on April 8th of 64, passed by the House on January 31st of 65, and then ratified by the required 27 of the then 36 states on December 6, 1865. So we want to put a pinhole on December 6, 1865, and proclaimed on December 18th. It was the first of 3 Reconstruction amendments adopted following the Civil War. So now, I don't think the Emancipation Proclamation, technically legally, freed the POWs.
It didn't. It technically freed the only the POWs in the states that were rebelling. You know, it's part of the lie that they say that he freed the slaves, because he did not. And also, I've been looking into some. The 14th Amendment was never ratified. They didn't have enough state support to ratify.
Wow. You mean the corporate one?
Yes.
Gave the corporations the rights to be considered a legal person?
Yes.
When the founders of
that made people citizens.
Yeah. While at the same time, the framers of the Constitution were dead set against corporations.
Yes.
Big corporations.
They were dead set against these politicians live now.
Yeah.
They were not supposed to make money like this doing these jobs.
Yeah, we did a show on it, how corporations were only supposed to be to build a bridge. And then once that function was completed,
it was done.
Correct. It was to do something positive for the people, not to money grab and make a whole lot of money. You know, if you want to make an iPhone, right, the people need an iPhone long enough for you to get that iPhone out there, and then the corporation is dissolved. Right. Yeah. Right.
But the framers, they felt like you shouldn't really get paid for being a politician. And these people are getting paid way more than most of us will ever. We might never reach these salaries.
Oh, yeah. I think you're right. Yeah, 6 figures.
Yeah. And complaining. Talking about $174,000 can't live off that.
Oh, yeah. They've been giving themselves raises, but then they'll
20 times and never.
Barely raise the Social Security, barely raise the
minimum wage.
Correct. Minimum wage, Social Security, and things of that nature for the people that the government is supposed to be all about propping up.
I saw someone on TikTok and they made an excellent point. They was like, these politicians should get paid minimum wage of their state.
I agree. And if they're a federal politician, they should get the federal minimum wage. I agree. So the House members, you're right. You're right. I agree. That's it.
And if you're going to raise your salary, you're raising the minimum wage.
I like that. Yeah, that's actually brilliant. Now, what were the black codes, Self? We kind of went into it, but the black codes. Yeah.
Black codes were just that. They, we say law, but they don't really make laws. They make codes, and they'll say this is law. This is a law, and then you look at it, and it's coded. It's a code, but they're a code specifically set to disenfranchise and make life very difficult for melanated people. Just like you mentioned, some of them like loitering, being homeless, jobless. These are all prisonable offenses. Also to mention, that's when prisons came into play. There weren't really prisons before the end of slavery or end of the so-called end of the PO war, prison of war experience. Yeah, they still have laws now that they still on the books about loitering and things of that nature. get you locked up. They were putting people right back on the prisoner leasing program, where the same plantation that you got away from, and now you're free, but you're a prisoner now, so you're still a slave working on the same plantation. A lot of BS. I don't know what else to say about that. Juneteenth. I said at the end of the last show. But we'll get there. We shall get there. Where are we at here? Well, we are approximately 12 days out, a little under 2 weeks away from house stock.
House stock, baby. House stock.
It's coming.
It's here. So the link is pinned in the chat, y'all. Click on it, support. So the Black Code Self, they're oftentimes referred to as Black laws.
Yes.
These laws govern the conduct of African Americans. I feel like there's still a Black Code today.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know what I mean? How when, Kyrie or Ja Morant does something, it becomes a whole big issue nationwide, worldwide. And you just don't see the same standard being set for others. But that all being said, there were laws to govern the conduct of melanated. In 1832, James Kent wrote that in most of the United States, there is a distinction in respect to political privilege between free white persons and free colored persons of African blood. And in no part of the country, I'd like to dispel the myth. I'm from the North, that somehow the North is less racist than the South. I beg to differ. But there's go ahead, Self. What are you going to say?
I agree, because it's not as overt, but it's still harder hitting, maybe even.
Yeah, I think that makes it worse.
Yeah.
Self, what's more dangerous to you? A poisonous viper that looks like a gardener snake, or a poisonous viper that looks and sounds like a poisonous viper?
They're both, you don't know. So you got to treat them
all the same. The one that looks like a gardener snake is more dangerous to me because I don't know.
Oh, that you said looks like a gardener snake.
Yes.
Yes. I misunderstood.
So the poisonous viper camouflaged as a harmless snake, or the poisonous snake that's wearing a Klan uniform.
Yeah, I get it now. Yeah, definitely. The first is, I hate the first one more.
Right. And that's basically what we've been dealing with up now. And many of us, we came from the South under that illusion, which we're going to visit the Delta as soon as we get to 999 subscribers. Y'all, this is a movement.
Let's go.
Yeah. We got, you know what I mean? The more we get, the more we can change the world. Now, okay. So, all right. There's a distinction in respect to political privileges between free white persons and free colored persons of African blood. And in no part of the country do the latter, in point of fact, participate equally with the whites in the exercise of civil and political rights. Although black codes existed prior to the Civil War, and although many northern states had them, so they had black codes, to our point about there were free
there were
melanated
many. Like It was hard to tell.
Yeah, but they were still depending on how much money they had, they were still being affected by black codes.
Oh yeah, and I mean, if they were
within the American,
because some of them were still considered white. They were from, they were some of them families that came over, and even though they were melanated, they were considered white.
You're saying like the way people can come from Italy and all of a sudden be considered white.
Yes. And there were a lot of that, because if you know the history of Europe, it was melanated until it wasn't, till the Moors cleaned up them people.
Taught them about soap.
Yeah,
taught them about
science, put
bacteria,
universities there, put libraries there,
baths.
Yeah. Can't sleep in the barn.
Proper baths, not 100 people going into a same pool of murky water bathing. Do you know what I mean?
They were bathing out of buckets. They were bathing out of buckets when the Moors got there.
Big ups to the Moors. Big ups to the Moors.
Yeah.
Well, you don't want to big up the Moors?
Up the Moors. You don't
want to big up the Moors? We got the Moor Growth and Development Program out there.
Yeah, some of the Moors, there's some Moors that were not for our people. And they taught our open.
Well, that's a whole show. We got to unpack that.
Some of them taught.
We got to unpack
enemy.
that. Yeah, we got to unpack that. I want to unpack that. All right, but all right, but so these codes existed before the Civil War. Many northern states had them. It was the Democrat-led southern U.S. states that codified such laws into everyday practice. The best known of these laws were passed by southern states in 65 and 66 after the Civil War, in order to restrict melanated's freedoms and in order to compel them to work for either low or no wages. Black codes, everybody.
Yeah, that's what that is all about.
Yeah, if you don't come work for nothing or these pennies, we're going to throw you on the chain gang. Right,
and you're still going to work here.
Oh, you're going to work. You got to work, Self. Come on. You black. You got to work.
You still going to work here. Unless you had your own farm and you had your own stuff, which they swindled most of us out of. We were the land.
Correct.
We were the landowners.
Self, we had a crew called the Regulators. You have a crew called the Regulators, but, based upon a movie. And I guarantee you, looking back on it, when they say the history of the cowboys, who was doing that work, those were actually us. Those were black people. That's where you get boys, cowboys. They called us boys.
Right, melanated people.
Correct. So I bet you that whole movie, Young Guns, I bet you a lot of those were black. Because like you said, free persons had to have people to protect their land and their rights. And you had to be handy with that thing, man, to keep them people from taking everything.
Yeah, period. I'm sure. Like, a lot of people throughout history, they've changed it. They made them these people. That's why they think they go all the way back to Adam.
And they'll say things like melanated people haven't contributed anything to society.
Anything.
To humanity. But their pet dogs have. And big ups to the pet dogs. I mean, dogs have contributed to humanity. I can't deny it. But they can deny what the melanated have contributed.
They are, they are closer to dogs than they are us. That's for sure.
Don't get me started.
We're definitely not the same species. So their species is closer to,
we put a pin on a date. In your mind, when were we? Because Juneteenth is about. I kind of get it now as I'm going down the rabbit hole, but I'll save it for towards the end. when we were actually free. And are we? But save the answer. But when were we truly, quote, emancipated in your mind's eye, based upon this legal history we've provided the Self Love Nation today?
Well, that just ended the war. So people in other areas was free on January 1st, 63.
Yeah, if there were certain types
and where they were, that's what really depended on. It was if the Union had already taken over that area, then they was taking people's slaves and removing them from them. So
and throwing them into the army.
Yeah, or letting them do something. I don't know if they threw them, if all of them went to the army, but a lot of them did. Yeah. So it was just a portion of areas where they didn't occupy, they didn't come there. And them people was like, I'm not listening to none of that. So if one of us is enslaved, I guess we all still are. I guess I don't know if that's the point you're making.
Yeah, because I'm gonna say legally, not until after it was ratified through Congress, according to the framework of the United States law systems. We wouldn't have been free when the Emancipation Proclamation was signed.
Well,
I mean, if that's the case, you could become president and write an executive order and say all white people are slaves.
Yeah, that's not gonna fly. That's against the Constitution. So I think the Congress doesn't have to have,
but back then it
approval over executive orders. I think they can make executive orders and Congress can't do anything about it. But
executive orders are not laws. Correct.
They're not.
You can't write an executive order that goes against the laws of the day.
No. So they had to do the 13th Amendment.
Correct.
So that's the date.
That's what I'm saying. Yes. That's what I'm trying to say.
That's the date. That's the date. I agree with you.
Yes, but they were ramming to me in my evil public school education. You know, I was all about the Emancipation Proclamation, and Abraham Lincoln was a god. He was 6'3" or something. Drop dead gorgeous.
6'4", and he was melanated. He had some melanation too.
There you go. All right, there you go.
So,
all right. So you guys, yeah, all right. So make sure you're supporting House Stock. House Stock's it's going to be a Vanglorious. Can we say Vanglorious, Self?
Vanglorious.
Vanglorious.
Let's go, y'all. House Stock. Make sure y'all get y'all tickets. You don't want to miss this. It's gonna be Vanglorious. But y'all know how the story go. Today we're breaking down the Juneteenth paradox. Call in if you want to. We can get it.
You free, boy. Gonna get out of here.
Let's get it. We have a few videos we want you to check out. Very important, beautiful, great. And we'll be right back at you. Second half, we're gonna round it up and get it all figured out and get her done.
Get her done. If we had a time machine or a wormhole, bro, and you in K-Town and you see the 9-year-old you, what bit of information would you have liked to have had? Would you tell yourself what you know now?
9 years old, what I
yes,
tell
sir.
myself, I don't want to overthink it. I say, man, just be aware. That's the most important thing you can do in the K-Town, bro. Just be aware. Be aware. Because when bro done pulled up on the side of me, if I wouldn't have looked over, they would have blew my head off.
Wow.
When I looked over, I seen the barrel, and that's why I ducked, because I felt that I already peeped them along. I peeped them coming. I seen them in my rear view. I say that looks funny. That looks suspicious, bro. When I got at the light, something told me to look over. When I looked over, I seen a gun. Then he shot. Boom, 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 boom. Yeah, to be aware, to be alive. In all cases, man. Period.
Can you provide the Self Love Nation with any colloquialisms, meaning sayings or quotes that either you live by that may have been provided by elders, ancestors, or even homie the creep? Any words of wisdom that they might have been laying on y'all while y'all was growing up that you like to share with the nation, bro?
Growing up, I was grounded in a lot of spirituality on both sides of my family. And my family is from the South. So, I got to experience that hospitable side of humanity down there in the South, man. And, I would just say, you got to be respectful and, never give up on yourself and just, believe in what you want to do and be respectful with it. It's just all about respect and family and love. That's what I experienced when I was growing up.
Yeah, that's well said. Because this is good for a historical point of view. So I mean, I know there would have been street activity, gang activity, but it sounds like you had a solid foundation, solid family, and everything kept you grounded. But like were guys running around with bags of money and doing stuff like this back then?
Well, hey, but don't get it wrong. I'm right there on 64th and Bishop, and
Yes,
I got
sir.
my family. I got 3 different sides of my family that's tapped in, like.
Yeah, you right off the
real.
tray. Right off the tray.
For real. But not just in Inglewood, but just my family period spanning around Chicago. But yeah, it's definitely you definitely had some street tribes in Inglewood
Yes, sir.
growing up. But I was just blessed to have that grandma, man, that
Yes.
grandma. My auntie, man, I love my auntie for what she helped me out with as far as growing up
Big
as
ups.
a young man. But my grandma, man, she took care of everybody's kids, man. She took care of everybody's kids. I went to school every day from her house. You know what I mean? So it was my grandma, man. My grandma is a wonderful woman. She had like 9 kids or something.
Man.
Nina
But
Ross.
yeah.
Okay.
No doubt,
All right.
no doubt.
I'm gonna throw it to Self Love.
I got that Cherokee and Choctaw blood myself from down Mississippi. Yeah. All right. Who do you credit for helping you to rise above environmental stressors as a child?
1 minute.
I talk to my mom a lot. I talk to my mom a lot about stuff. Me and my mom talk about stuff, man. and she gives me a woman point of view. And
We've got three who can see.
Hey bros, what's going on? This is Cotton. Be sure to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, because subscribing makes you feel good.
Do you still have them?
I got mine.
You know how the story go. It's the Self Luv Show.
Yo, it's the Self Luv Show. Juneteenth paradox. Y'all can call in if y'all want to. We went over a lot about the history of it, and now we're finna get into the meat of it and what does it mean today.
Big ups to the sponsors. Today's sponsors, House Stock.
Yes, sir.
Tap that link. It's pinned in the chat. Recycle your money. Have a greater time. All right, so let's jump into the second half, Self. So now we're going to get into Juneteenth out there. Juneteenth. What is Juneteenth in your estimation?
It is the day that the Union Army made it to Galveston, Texas, and told them that slavery.
That's funny. That's where the lady was who told me about it. She was from Galveston, like literally.
Right.
So I understand her talking about Juneteenth, but go ahead, bro.
Yeah. So, yeah. And when they came there, that's when it supposedly ended and everybody set everybody free or whatever. And that was supposed to have been the last place that they went. So June 19th, 1865.
All right. So Juneteenth is a federal holiday commemorating the emancipation, the so-called emancipation of enslaved melanated people here in America. It derived its name from combining June and the 19th, and Self Luv pointed out to me. It is celebrated on the anniversary of the order issued by Major General Gordon Granger on June 19th, 1865, which finally proclaimed freedom for slaves in Texas. I don't understand why that. Originating in Galveston, to Self Luv's point, Juneteenth has been observed annually in various parts of the U.S., often broadly celebrating melanated culture. The day was first recognized as a federal holiday in 2021 when President Joe, you ain't black if you don't vote for me. Bunch of roaches and animals going to schools with our Trump-dead gorgeous white kids. Savages, animals. But when Joe Biden signed the Juneteenth National Independence Day Act into law after the efforts of Lula, Briggs, Galloway, Opal Lee, and others. Early celebrations date to 1866, first involving church-centered community gatherings in Texas. They spread across the South and became more commercialized in the 20s and 30s, often centering on a food festival.
Yeah.
Participants in the Great Migration brought these celebrations to the rest of the country. My family didn't bring it, and we're from Mississippi. My family didn't bring it. I had never heard of it.
We're not from Texas, and Mississippi is too far from Texas because I mean, Louisiana.
They didn't
right
have the
there.
internet then.
I mean, no, what definitely went on internet. They was like the first celebrations was a former slave that was from Galveston went to Houston, bought some land, and it was it had a park. The park is still there or whatever, and they had a big food festival there.
Yeah.
And
Like the Taste of Chicago, huh?
Man, he was saying the guy that I was researching, seeing a video talking about, he was like, man, he ain't never seen that much food in his life, and that's all he knew about till he got almost grown and started asking questions about Juneteenth.
Bro, what was the Taste originally called? Was it Chicago Fest?
Yes,
that's a cold ass name.
And it was right. It was on Navy Pier. It wasn't in Grant Park. It was right on the water, right at Navy Pier.
Yeah. Chicago Fest, boy. My mama used to take me to that, rest her soul.
Yeah.
Wow. So during the civil rights movement, self-love of the 60s, the Juneteenth celebrations were eclipsed by nonviolent determination to achieve civil rights, which civil rights is stupid. It's all about human rights. Civil rights is something constructed by the CIA, in my opinion.
Spooks, yep. To achieve nothing, really.
Yeah, to have us all talking about nonsense.
Yeah.
But it grew in popularity again in the 70s. So I should have been in Theta at this point, with a focus on African-American freedom and African-American arts, beginning with Texas by proclamation in 1938 and by legislation in 1979. I was out of Theta. I knew football. I knew the NBA.
I mean, we didn't get taught this.
Definitely not at William H. Ray School.
Our families didn't teach us this, bro. I mean,
correct.
Our families weren't
not
privy to this information. That's
okay.
Or the area they didn't, they didn't go to no Juneteenth.
Nothing. No,
right.
Never heard of.
Right, because they would have said something. Like, period. I know my family.
But they're saying in 1979, every U.S. state, which would include the great state of Illinois and the District of Columbia, has formally recognized the holiday in some way, even with its adoption in some parts of Mexico. The holiday has become an international holiday. Juneteenth is celebrated by the Muskogos, descendants of Black Seminoles. That's an oxymoron, Black Seminoles, isn't it, Self?
Yes. I mean, they're Seminoles.
And the Seminoles were what?
And they're not black. They're copper colored.
Correct.
Yes.
Yeah. But the Seminoles escaped from slavery in 1852. This is before the Emancipation Proclamation.
These are lies, bro. Seminoles was here when they got here, bro.
Correct.
They did kidnap and snatch up some Seminoles and the children and indoctrinate them and indoctrinated them and made them slaves and took all of our knowledge away. And then $5 people came and got on the Dawes Roll and then all of that mess.
So, Self, the Seminoles, something we might want to look into as the channel grows. Maybe we can visit Coahuila, Mexico. Coahuila, Mexico is where the Seminoles fled to. Just like when in the Hebrews. We're not talking about the Azanaskis. We're talking about the true.
Some of the same people that you're talking about.
Yeah, when they ran from
Hebrews.
Egypt. Was it Egypt? Yeah, when they were fleeing Egypt, the Seminoles were fleeing America and allegedly went to this place, Coahuila, Mexico. We might want to look into that.
Yeah, because probably the Hebrews were fleeing to Egypt.
I'd love to meet.
I'm talking about here.
Yes.
This is the old world and not over there.
That's an interesting concept. Great. Be a great nonfiction I might need to add to my short story book that I'm working on. All right. But celebratory traditions often include public readings of the Emancipation Proclamation, which again, Self, is a bunch of nonsense. It was called Proclamation 95 It wasn't even called the Emancipation Proclamation.
No, of course it wasn't.
It's Proclamation 95. Why don't we call it Proclamation 95?
Because they want to make a dream that it's the emancipation instrument. And it's not. It's just...
Here's what you said, Self. It promised emancipation for all slaves. Like Obama signing a healthcare act that promises, not an executive order that promises. And then the next jackass comes in there as president and stretches that out.
New executive order. We're getting rid of this executive order.
Correct. I'm wiping my ass with the old president's executive orders and all the deals he made in good faith with all the other nations in the world. You know what I mean? Let's just wipe our ass with it all.
And Obama he didn't do that with the old. He let all that stay in place. He didn't wipe, So
well, he was a dutiful black man. I'll leave it there. Now, celebratory traditions often include public readings of the proclamation, which promised emancipation for all slaves under Confederate control. So were the slaves who were under Union control not promised freedom? These are the questions I'm asking.
No, they were not. Because in the southern states that wasn't a part of the Confederacy, they were still slaves.
Correct. Singing traditional songs such as Sweet Low, Sweet Chariot, and Lift Every Voice and Sing, and reading the works of noted African-American writers such as Ralph Ellison, Maya Angelou, who we had to quote from, I think. Juneteenth celebrations may also include rodeos out there, Self. This probably goes back to Coahuila, Mexico. Rodeos out there. I'm wondering if we started rodeos out there.
Of course we did.
The cowboys were black.
Of course we did, bro.
Yeah,
all of the tricks.
So we started lacrosse. We invented lacrosse.
There's not a sport that we have not.
Well, you and I have postulated we invented basketball. And James Naismith stole that from the local Pookie in the area.
I mean, yeah, he definitely did not create that.
Dr. James Naismith created.
I promise you that. We was hitting balls off our hips and through hoops and all of that.
Correct. Shooting balls into milk crates for years.
I'm saying way before this civilization, we invented ball going through hoops and means of playing with that. So
how we should be celebrating, Self, according to this, is rodeos, street fairs out there, cookouts, family reunions, parties out there, historical reenactments. I could get with the historical reenactments, but we got to reenact it accurately. Juneteenth became the first new federal holiday since Martin Luther King Jr. Day was adopted in 1983. Juneteenth out there.
That's
Juneteenth.
Yeah.
There's pandering for the black vote. I'm sorry.
It's just a slap in the face.
It's pandering for the black vote. I'm sorry. It may be a slap in your face. I hear you. I'm saying it, but let's.
It's complete pandering. It's complete pandering. I mean,
we're going too far out there.
I don't.
No. I mean, right now, we're going to get.
Okay.
No, we're not going too far. When did you first personally, Brother Wordsmith, hear this term Juneteenth? This is questions we're asking America. And to the chat, when did you first? Oh, we got some banter and information. But when you answer this, and then we're going to answer the banter.
Yeah, I actually want to say at U of I.
I was ignorant. You must have taken that Wolof class or some shit.
No, I was just around them. Or
I was taking those gullet.
I still didn't know what it was, or I just
Where'd you hear? I didn't see any. Go ahead. No, this is you talking. Go ahead.
Then one of them groups, I think, said it
That sounds about right. That does sound about right.
Yeah, but I
If not
still
now or
had
some shit.
one of them, and I still didn't know or have the wherewithal to investigate. So I wasn't really privy or really knew what that was
But you heard about it early 90s.
Yeah.
That was the first time you heard about it.
Yeah.
Me, Self, because I had no recollection until you mentioned it on the yard, and I must not have been there. Well, I was, but I was, but this would have been 2008 in the San Fernando Valley in California. I was managing a company, and one of my employees was from Galveston, Texas. And she had put in for some time off for Juneteenth. I'm like, listen, you don't have to make some shit up just to get a day off from me. No, seriously, this is what I'm like, you don't have to make shit up. She's like, you never heard of Juneteenth? I'm like, what?
Right.
June what? You know what I mean? And she told me the story about Texas, and they didn't know they were free. And I'm like, wow. So the first time I heard about it, from what I remember, is 2008. And this has supposedly been cookouts and rodeos and festivals since mid 1800s.
Yeah, I didn't look into history because I took it for what it was instead of knowing that they lied about everything. So I might have known, probably in 2008. I think I probably knew about it by 2008.
Yeah, well, you said you knew about it in the 90s.
No, I heard the phrase. I didn't know what that was, though.
I got you. You heard them talking about Juneteenth.
Yeah, and I didn't even investigate. I was just like, I left it down.
You was out there, Self. You was out there.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly. Juneteenth. Okay, that's Juneteenth. I don't know what that's about, but
it sounded like, to me, the whole term sounds like slave talk.
Yeah, it sounds like some.
You got some uneducated, and I'm not knocking my ancestors, but you've got the one who didn't have any literacy for various reasons.
Who knows who named this? That's just the truth of the matter. Might not have been us. It might have been.
Yes. It sounds and feels demeaning.
I'm just saying it don't. Yeah, we might not even name this. They control everything else.
So in your third eye, you're going into it now. Why do you think this holiday was created, and then why is it now like ratified into some sort of law or a national holiday? I should say.
It made it a hologram day. It's pandering for the black vote, like you said. This is all they will give to melanated people. They're not gonna,
Are you talking about symbols, no substance?
Yes. Then they do stuff for other people that is like, wow, we could use that. No, we got a hologram day.
I can't argue that, and you add in, again, to what you said, it's the same thing. They're pandering, for our votes and to control us. The Southern Democrats.
Without doing anything. Northern too, all of them.
Oh yeah, but I mean, the Democratic Party, if you don't think it's run by the Dixiecrats still to this day, we need to sit down and have a discussion.
No, there's a lot of politics around here that dictate a lot of politics around this country.
Oh yeah,
and then I don't know necessarily maybe the Dixiecrat principles, but still coming from this area.
Yeah, well, no. What I meant by that, moreover, is those who controlled it back when they were Dixiecrats and they were Southern Democrats, they still control it now. They may have puppets in the North who are still carrying out their agenda. But in order to wake our people up, we've got to get them to understanding. It'd be no difference if the Nation of Islam, open mosque in the South, which I'm sure they have. If you don't believe that the thought is coming out of Mosque Mariam, right there on, what's it, 74th, 73rd and Stony Island.
I hear you. I just think maybe there's the gardener snake looking viper is here, and that's what
absolutely
dictates.
Absolutely.
Been dictating all of the Dixiecrats and all of that.
Absolutely. And so I'm in agreement with you as to why the holiday was created. So when you say who's behind Juneteenth, you were just getting into who maybe even created the name.
Yeah, because it's organizations that are seemingly made for us that really aren't, that dictate a lot of information, like the NAACP, for example. You would think it would
National Association for the Advancement of Colored People.
Yeah, you would think it would be by colored people, for colored people, and all of that. And we barely got a seat at the table with those situations. And they dictate some of the policy that is given for us or attempted to get for us. And I'm not even sure that they're qualified to do so. So I also know that they've, lied about almost everything we've ever been taught. So just questioning everything. So I really want to know where the name came from, because it's not, just something don't seem right about it.
No, something don't seem right. You could have simply said, just like we celebrate on June 19th, we celebrate, the emancipation of prisoners of wars in this country. And the date could be set for June 19th every year, but they made it Juneteenth.
Yeah.
But why don't we celebrate the day of the 13th Amendment, the day that was ratified?
Because we might look into the 13th Amendment and see what it actually is. That's why. They just put out stuff so much until you take it for granted, don't even look into it. That's why the Emancipation Proclamation instead of Proclamation 95, because they don't even want you to look into that. They want you to think that did what it did, and not look at the actual. Point. Yeah, not look at the actual thing that put it there and seeing what that is.
So, for instance, in your case, in the 90s, you might be, hooping and chasing tail. Your testosterone is flowing and chasing your degree. And then for me, 2008, I'm just chasing the bag and managing a company. And no one would dig into the 13th Amendment if somebody's talking to them about Juneteenth.
Right.
No one.
No.
I find it odd that they're saying this holiday has been celebrated since the time you said in Galveston, Texas, but none of us know about it.
Well, it was local. It was really local. Galveston, they said the guy that got freed from there bought land in Houston. So it got kind of big in Houston. But Houston is like maybe 45 miles from Galveston or something like that, an hour, something like that. Maybe an hour away. I don't know. I've been to Galveston a couple times. And yeah, it's not far from Houston. So that people in that area celebrated it because those were the people really affected by the whole thing. Everybody wasn't affected by that.
Correct. So prison, and I didn't even get into why. Why wasn't everybody? Why wasn't Texas? Why didn't the feds move into Texas like everywhere else and make sure that everybody was quote unquote free?
They had to win where they was at. The war, that's where the war ended.
I got what you're saying. They saved Texas for last, pretty much. Georgia, Texas. So they were going through where they can win.
Yes,
and they were moving
and
across.
building up. Yeah.
Okay.
So they didn't get there yet.
Got you. Wasn't newspapers, wasn't internet. You know what I mean?
Might have been newspapers, but if you got your land and all this, and you against what's coming or whatever, you're not gonna shut down. Yeah, you're not finna listen to that and shut down your operations. You're gonna keep your operations
but you got the Paul
going.
Revere's, you got the Pony Express, the drop dead gorgeous pink people riding horses, spreading all the information.
Those people weren't. They
didn't exist.
They weren't pink. Those people, there were people that spread stuff and all.
Got you.
But pink people couldn't ride through everywhere. They weren't.
The natives
weren't safe.
The indigenous people wouldn't let them.
Our people would not
give them a pass
because they would steal our children and do all kinds of things to us. They took our children and indoctrinated them.
I didn't learn that at race school.
Of course, you didn't learn that at race school,
or at the University of Illinois. All right, well, let's push. Not push.
You could have learned that at the University of Illinois, but you had to really dig into some.
Into the stacks.
Yes.
Okay, so we've said the 13th Amendment. Say we're no longer POWs, except in cases of incarceration. So Juneteenth should be attached to the celebration, I'm thinking, should be ex-offenders and their release dates out there. Of all races. If prison is slavery.
It is.
And we're celebrating someone being emancipated from the shackles of chattel slavery, then why would we not? I'm just saying, I'm getting into celebrations. Maybe I can start something where we give out book bags and have all the, the ex-offenders out there.
Kind of the difference is a lot of the people was born into so-called slavery. They didn't do a crime to get there or what have you. And a lot of people in these jails or whatever
didn't do a crime.
That's a good point. But some of them have.
Some of them have. So maybe we can attach the innocent who've been released from the
I can deal with that.
Yeah. We see it every day.
Yeah, we do.
And we're gonna roll into solutions as we close out today's show. Personally, do you celebrate Juneteenth? If so, how?
I do not. I've said I feel until I did some research or whatever, I really feel like it's a slap in the face. It's a disrespect. You're celebrating when people who, according to what you're saying, 2 years and 6 months later from the Emancipation Proclamation.
Yeah, Proclamation.
So that
you got to go from the date that
whatever
the
House
was.
Whatever day was that?
That was a year later, 1864. That was
okay.
I'll get it for you. Go ahead. Go ahead.
Still a year after that. I don't understand why it's a celebration. It's a slap in the face to me. They need to establish the 13th Amendment and then have people look at it and see what it is, so they'll know what it is. Because they never ended slavery, period. That's why they want to go with the emancipation story and that date.
Okay, so it was proclaimed December 18th, 1865. December 18th. So if anything, it should be instead of Juneteenth, it should be if you wanted to be celebrated nationally and not a Texas holiday, I would think it would be, I don't know, I'm gonna come up with a cute little.
That's after, isn't it? So it don't really. It didn't really.
That's
mean
what I'm
nothing.
saying.
It didn't really mean nothing anyway, because nobody was.
Correct. Technically. That's the whole thing about it. I don't want to just throw that to you. I haven't celebrated it. I mean, I appreciate the day off and, the day off with pay, etc. Going down this rabbit hole, if you're saying I'm just celebrating the emancipation of my ancestors, then I can do that. I'm just having issues with the moniker Juneteenth, when that word and even the conception of this word or the meaning, the word is meaningless, and the word doesn't exist, and it's celebrating a day that feels disingenuous to me and my ancestors for me to be celebrating it when we weren't ever freed, but technically from the chattel slavery allegations, we weren't free from that until well after this. So this is why I personally haven't thought, let me go ahead and celebrate it. Same thing it'd be like celebrating Martin Luther King's Day. You're having a barbecue and you're celebrating the assassination of this man.
Yeah, or Independence Day. Independence Day. July 4th.
Oh, yeah. You're talking about Hypocrite Day.
Oh, yes. One of many.
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
Christopher Columbus Day. Christopher Columbus. Yeah, finding out that he was melanated.
Yeah, but I mean, to your point, how can you discover something where there's already millions of people?
You can't, especially when you never went there. He went to the Caribbean islands. He never came to this landmass.
Oh, so you're saying I go to St. Louis and then say I discovered Chicago?
Yeah. Well, yes, and no. He went to the Caribbean islands and said he discovered America. All of this, he didn't come to these lands.
Right.
That's
he thought
crazy.
Thought he was in America.
Well, I mean, those technically are part of the Americas, where they got it set up technically, but he never meant this landmass, and he discovered this land. When the continent, I could there's leeway with that, because who decided that all of this is a continent, and what a continent
don't get me
is
started on that.
Right. So that part, and how those islands are connected to this land.
Don't get me started on that.
Yeah.
How should former prisoners of war, foundationally Black Americans, descendants of chattel slavery, what is our celebrations of liberation? What does it look like?
To me, we should all do the genealogy of our family and make sure that who we are and where we came from.
You mean have the Mormons work their Mormon magic and small ups to the Mormons?
They have some of the records. They don't control them all. They have some of the records. They don't control them all. But
go ahead.
Do your genealogy to see if you or your family ever came off boats, and see what their designations is, and do the genealogy by records, not by DNA testing.
Yeah, that's why I mentioned the Mormons. Yeah, because they control one of those big, I think 23andMe, they own it. But go ahead.
Yeah, the DNA testing is, they only use a very small part of your DNA, and it's not, they cannot tell you where you came from, because
it's monkey science.
50 generations is 2 million people. So they cannot tell you where you came from. That's it says it in the fine print that it's for entertainment purposes. But it is necessary for like deciding if somebody's in your family, that they can test you and them. If they can test you and them, then they can definitely tell you if you're in
that there's a relationship.
Yeah. Yes. That's what it really can do. But aside from that, you want to check your genealogy through records and the census and a lot of things, so you can see who they labeled your people as, and it can let you know a lot of information about yourself.
So you check all that out and you find out you're a descendant of chattel slavery. What does celebration of liberation look like?
I think most of us will find out that we were not chattel slaves. That's what.
So you don't want reparations?
No, we need to deserve reparations because we were already here. This was our land, and they swindled and did paper genocide and changed who we were and who we are, so that they could tell us we're not from this landmass, so we don't have inherent ownership of it. Because that's where the reparations needs to be.
So what percentage would you say weren't chattel slaves, foundationally Black Americans? And it's just a guesstimate. We're not doing anything scientific. You said most of us would find that we're not descendants of.
Well, I shouldn't have said slavery or prisoner of wars, but from Africa is what I meant.
Gotcha. Part of the slave trade.
Yes, the transatlantic slave trade.
Okay.
That's what I was.
All right. So after you do your DNA and all that, you find out you're not. So you're saying you don't celebrate the liberation of slaves. What about
we still can, because we were.
So what does that look like?
We need to just, I don't know, love each other, have a family barbecue, have something, I guess, commemorate it.
Commemorate?
Yes, commemorate it. I don't know, just live in light and love.
And what day is this? Is it in June?
I don't know. I mean,
could be any day.
Yeah, we can just pick a day.
But that's why we call it a paradox, because has slavery ended is the ultimate question.
It hadn't ended before that, and it wasn't late because it ended after that.
Correct. And still technically, in many's eyes, hasn't ended. Emancipate yourself from mental slavery. And the CIA guy came out on his deathbed and admitted that he murked the late, great Bob Marley. And I remember coming up on the block and cats telling me Bob Marley was murked. You know, it sounded like a tin hat conspiracy theory, but I rode with it. It made sense.
I mean, the stuff he was putting out was opening people up.
Yeah.
And he thought it because he's from one of them families, he could do it too.
Yeah. What does it look like for me? I like your idea of going down the records And I would think, if possible, when possible, putting a name to the celebration. You know, we like dropping, releasing balloons, I'd feel more comfortable with the date being celebrated, when it actually became law. I'd feel good about making sure that everybody in the family, to your point, getting the family together and, honoring your ancestors and all the ancestors, but, maybe having visitors who come over, talk about their ancestors who they've determined were victims of, free labor. So yeah, I would do that. People, tell the stories from the family history that they able to get, if possible. On the date that it actually became ratified, that would be something I'm comfortable with. A barbecue, prayer. Had to be some prayer out there, releasing of balloons. I think I'm okay with that.
So the date was in December.
Yeah.
So December 18th, I think you said. But that's a week from Christmas. So Juneteenth.
You're right. It was December 18th, 1865. That's when it was proclaimed.
So so that's a week from Christmas. We not gonna they ain't gonna give us no holiday the week before Christmas.
They ain't gonna give us slaves another day off a week before Christmas.
Man, are you crazy? Man, Juneteenth.
But you couldn't call it Juneteenth. It'd be, I'm trying to come up with something for December. I guess December 10th. It would be December 10th. But in this case, you wouldn't have to use 10th because you have an actual date.
December they had an actual date. That's why the Juneteenth.
Yeah, they had June 19th.
So it was.
We should go ahead.
That's partly why I probably was like Juneteenth.
Yeah,
you know what? It wasn't at U of I. It was. I was working with Muntu. I was working with Muntu Dance Theater.
Okay, yeah.
African dance group. Yeah, I was working with them when I heard of it.
Now that makes sense. So that would have been still around like 94, 95, something like that.
Yeah.
That makes sense. And you went around there a lot more than I did. So that makes sense.
I mean, I worked with them. I probably did probably a couple hundred, maybe 300 shows with them.
That makes sense. But I mean, the way it's set up now, it's a holiday. Same could be done on whenever they honor it, because Juneteenth, I don't know if it's the third week in June or whatever it is. Same could be done to, I guess, give it a little more meaning. So I do love that concept. Researching, the records, talking to your grandmother if you're privy, your great grandmother if you're still privy. Yes. Getting the family history from the family historian, and then going down and checking the records in those counties where you might be from. You might be, from Bama. You might be from the Crooked Letter. You might be from Georgia. Going down there and pulling those public records out there and, and finding out, does that make sense? And finding out exactly who the people were in your family that were affected.
Absolutely. Like I told you, I suspect that a lot of us is not gonna find no connection to Africa.
You don't think so?
I know that my family don't have much connection, if any. I haven't come across.
What, are you ashamed of your African roots out there?
I'm just proud of what I am. And the people that tell me try to tell me who I am and where I came from, I'll listen to my ancestors and what they told me, and from what I can find in the records, before I believe somebody else telling me who I am. And I have nothing against my cousins. Love them to death. But they are that. They are cousins. To my family, anyway. But I suspect that about a lot of them.
There was a lot more. No, go ahead. There was a lot more movement. What the hell's going on? My computer. There was a lot more. Oh, there we go. There was a lot more movement going around. A lot more migration, I should say. We were migrating. It just shows our ability to migrate, is what I'm saying. We made the great migration north. And so if we're already like a migratory people, which is why many consider us the original Hebrews, or, the Jews. If we are, migratory birds, if we were the ones, who move with the rhythm of the earth, it does seem to follow that we would have been all over the place.
Absolutely. But the outer Africa theory is what I challenge.
You're saying that the whole thing originated in Africa?
No, I'm saying it doesn't.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah,
yes.
You're challenging that.
Yes, I'm challenging that outer Africa, that all of humanity comes from Africa.
You see that? You see that, Self? You go through your public records, and you find out this is Flappy McMills. But in the real world, you go through the public records and you'd be surprised what you come across. But I actually used AI generator to create this picture. Looks like one of my ancestors, though, doesn't it, Self?
It looks like the actual guy whose picture it is, too. Not far from.
I see what you're saying. It does. It does, bro.
The dude's actual picture. That's he was one of the first senators in Reconstruction, and one of the progenitors of Tulsa.
Well, that's because they gave that lazy eye. You see the lazy eye, and you know what I mean? My eye's a little lazy, but not that damn lazy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's what he had. But I'll tell you what, that's a nice looking suit.
Man, that dude, they say he was a prisoner of war. I do not believe that. He
didn't have the mentality of somebody that was
because the Reconstruction, he was a free person. That's the only way he could have been able to
move around.
Yeah, and get to be the senator or whatever, and buy all that land and all of that time. You couldn't buy land if you weren't,
plug.
Yes, period. And he was already,
especially if you was melanated.
He was already a free person. Period. He almost had can do some things some white man could do. He was kind of considered white. I'm not sure. I don't think he was from this land mass. I think he came to America with those other people and was considered different than the people that was already here.
Right. Same thing can go on today. You put on a $2,000-$3,000 suit. 9 times out of 10, they're gonna treat you a little different. And if you have a little swag about yourself, you're able to use the magic spells of this language. 9 times out of 10, you can keep it pushing. But Juneteenth is a day of celebration and reflection. This is something I've come to understand through this rabbit hole. I see it as a day to remember the struggles and sacrifices of our ancestors who came before us, and to honor their powerful legacy. It's also a day to recognize the work that still needs to be done to achieve true equality in slavery. As we celebrate this holiday, let us remember, to Self Love's point, that the fight for freedom and the fight for justice, it's ongoing. It's a journey. It's not a destination. And that we all have a role to play in creating a better future for ourselves and for our progeny. Juneteenth. Support Midwest Festivals, House Stock. The link's pinned in the chat. You know, if you're going to spend money this weekend or this week, go to WeBuyBlack.com, or you can go to Amazon.com/programs/Black Business Accelerator, and they'll forward you to Black folks making a living selling their wares.
So-called Black folks.
Correct. Correct. So who knows? All right. I don't see any responses in the chat to today's riddle.
Oh, that's what I forgot to.
I think Self Love's coming up with something. I'll go ahead and take it upon myself to read it to you cats one last time. See if you can process it out there. Brett Favre and Tom Brady would have got it right away, like that.
No, they wouldn't have.
One night, a ninja and a pirate were on a ship. The ship began to sink. The ninja and the pirate jumped into a lifeboat before the ship went underwater. Who died? Interesting. Self Love says everyone else on the ship, his initial guess was no one. Technically, he could be right, but that's not what we're looking for. I'm going to give you a clue here. I normally type the question or the riddle into the chat. There's a reason I didn't type it in, because to type it in would be to give away the answer. That being said, one last time. One night, a ninja,
oh God,
and a pirate were on a ship. The ship began to sink. The ninja and the pirate jumped into a lifeboat before the ship went underwater. Who died? And Self Love has gotten it now. He did process. The night. KNIGHT. The night survived. All right, Self, how'd you pull that out of your wazoo?
Night died. That's who died.
Yeah, the night died. Yeah.
Yeah, because I, finally got it.
Yeah, I mean,
one night is a like,
it's a, what is it, a homonym? It's one of those
double
word
entendre. It's a double entendre. It's just, it means two things at the same time. Shit.
It's one word
night,
magic.
Yeah, and then if you listen to one night, it's then. Yeah.
And I did break it up right with the commas. I said one night.
No, you broke
a ninja
every time. Every time.
Yeah.
It's the same way. Even though you said I'm gonna give you a hint, you still said it.
Yeah.
You said it a little different.
No, I said it the same way, but you got it. Because, like I said, once I told you if I typed it, it would give, that was still great for you to pull that out, because still, I don't think most people would have got it just based off of that clue. So, big ups to you for that. All right, Self Love, next week on June 18th on the Self Love Show, we're going to unpack the moon out there. The moon. What is it, Self? Is it hollow? Where did it come from? Has it always been there? We're going to unpack that.
Yeah, because it's there's wide range of information and dichomic, and you'd be like, what? Wait a minute. Hold on. Wait a minute. And yeah, it's gonna be fact-filled and very interesting next week. So
yeah, they like to tell you, there's billions of planets and all of them have a moon just like ours.
Oh no. Yeah, I'm questioning everything. I don't know about the planets. It's a
Well,
surface
Self,
and
the
moon.
ancients have stories about when the moon appeared.
Yeah.
So they have
when it
stories
got
of
there.
when there
When
was
it-
no moon.
Yeah.
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 The ancients. I mean, they could be lying. And of course, the media could be lying too. Today's science could be lying too.
Well, I mean, the ancients, we have to trust somebody's translation generally. So,
Very true.
so we have to dig into and learn the ancient stuff for ourselves.
No, I have no doubt. I would definitely concur. I would definitely concur with you there. And then you guys, Mouthpiece Included, has been pushed to Tuesday this week because, to Self Love's point, the main co-host is in Mexico out there.
Mexico.
Celebrating with
Cooling
Jazz.
with Jazzy and both the wives at the pool. I know they having a magnificent time.
Drinking Coronas and Modelos. I go out there, give me a Corona and Modelo. Everything I can get on 75th and Narragansett. You know what I mean? And give me some Patron. You know what I mean?
No, you can't get Patron. You can get it there, but they be like, that's not tequila.
Correct. They want to give you some tequila. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
What, Quavo?
Whatever is some Mexican shit that's got a worm in the bottle. That's what they want you to drink.
Yeah, well, I drank the worm down at Champagne a couple times. Freshman year.
Yeah. It's all right.
I mean, I don't know if it's still a parasite, ramaging through my body, but it's probably doing some good out there too. Who knows?
Oh no, that thing is cooked. And that alcohol.
Cooked and drowned, huh?
Full of alcohol. And they said it had hallucinogenic properties. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't remember hallucinating, but then again, I probably passed out from the
tequila.
Yeah, from tequila out there. The salt and the lime. Boy, you're just killing yourself fast.
And that thing is full of tequila. It's soaking in there.
Yeah.
You eat that worm. They say, yep, got the.
Oh, I can see that. I can see that leading to some hallucinogenic, Yeah. Just like the way some edibles make people hallucinate.
Yes.
So catch us, what day is that? Tuesday, y'all. We're going to be live, Mouthpiece Included, where we discuss politics. And you guys can actually pull up on the day of Mouthpiece Included during that show. We have the link pinned in the chat. But if you do pull up, what, Self?
You better not forget to bring your mouthpiece.
Don't forget to bring your mouthpiece.
Because you could get left all wet.
Damn right. So, all right, Self, I'm going to turn it over to this brother right here for my personal favorite part of the whole shebang. And that's Wordsmiths. It's going to have some music change here. Final words out there.
It's the Juneteenth paradox. I've been sort of stubborn like an ox. Kind of felt it was like a slap in the face. But I'm going to take a different stance to go to a different place. Let's implement the solutions that we suggested. It'll make it easier to address it. Because we need to know the laws that have been told about a family tree. It's limitless, the gimmicks they use to not let us see. just who we be. Question everything. Because they have lied at every turn. We try to play by their rules and we get burned. I wonder, will we ever learn? This causes me concern. Because they treat us like we idiots, like we imbeciles, and we won't forget. I don't even know why they try to pull this shit. Because there's people like me and 9 Mills. We got this vision and the skills to build this pyramid. Self Luv Show. So, let's know who we are and where we come from. The records will tell you a whole lot more than the story of your roots or 12 years a slave. Those are all things to try to make you behave. Make you think that you got no access to this land, like your people didn't live here and understand everything and how the sun, moon, and stars bend to make things grow, to shape your future. You can't come from a different landmass and teach people how to live here. It just can't happen. We were always here. Paper genocide is real. So let's celebrate our ancestors, but research who they are. Words.
Thought you was gonna keep it going. This next track is probably even colder. Big ups to Chill Hop. Big ups. This one cold, boy. I had sent them to you for some inspiration last week, but I know you busy with everything. All right, y'all. Well said, good brother. Well said. All right, so see if we can find the right one. As always, we're going to close out with some Kakim Allah, Ka Zodiac, K.A. Zodiac.
Yes, sir.
This one's called Man, Know Thyself. He one of the gods on the East Coast, good brother.
Man, love his work.
Yeah, he doing his thing, man.
And he don't hit us off with no issues.
No, he don't. That tells you that he owns his what?
His own work.
Facts. So big ups to my brother, Ka Zodiac. I'll reach out to him, see if he'll come on the Self Luv Show, huh, Self?
Yes, sir.
Love to hear from this brother. Yeah, I think I'll reach out to him today.
You know what that means?
Yeah, one of my cousins, Lil Tony from out west, man. Him and one of the guys want to pull up too to the Self Luv Show. Tell him we'll work something out.
For sure.
Bullets. A boomerang.
Stand your ground.
Murder. It's suicide.
Yeah, man. An eye for an eye.
Silence. That's violence.
You see something, say something.
12. I'll stop. Greed. Press ego over fear. That's slavery.
Charity plus humility times love is freedom.
Juneteenth. Do not, under any circumstance, for any reason, even if you're being tortured, you can always just tell them nonsense. Do not answer questions.
But I don't care where you get it from or who you hear it from. Whatever someone says, question everything.
Damn Skippy. Fear's cap, man. It's an illusion.
Facts, man. Everything is love. To vibrate love.
Forgiveness is the highest love vibration.
So do something charitable for a so-called enemy and end the beef.
Wise man once told me, healthy people heal thy people.
Because we all know for sure, hurt people don't try to hurt people.
Thirsty. Free the old man, free Larry Hoover.
Free Jeff Fort.
Free all the guys, man.
Yeah, prison and slavery.
Read the 13th Amendment. Be Yahusha. Walk on water.
Yeah, man, exactly. Move mountains.
You kidding me right now? You talking about moving a whole mountain, bro?
Easily, bro.
Man, you know the type of energy it'll take to what kind of power we gotta have for that?
Shit, all we need is the faith of a mustard seed. And we got way more than that.
Just like being in love.
Word.
No one can tell if you're in love. You just
right up out the way.
Through and through. Balls to bones.
Love yourself. Love your family. Love your people.